What is up? Episode 20. We are back. It is Sunday, August 18th, 2019. We are here. We're doing it fresh off a 4-hour nap on a Sunday. Got to take my licks when I get them, Was up last night pretty late. Kind of running around today, going to the farmers markets per usual on a Sunday. And had to get in a nap. A little bit of a beast this past week. Got a big week ahead of us. So definitely, if I'm a little groggy or whatever, just know that I just took a 4-hour nap. But straight into it. This episode is being fueled by Twisted Tea. Okay. Very delicious in the summertime. I recommend it. So let's get it started here. So, what's been going on? It's been a week since I'd seen you guys. This is, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a row that I've been good about getting an episode out. So that's kind of a good start. It is episode 20, episode Benjamin Franklin. You feel me? That's a $20 bill. Yeah, we finally made it. Big 2-0. Climbing on up slowly but surely, but we're here. So how's everything going? It's going good. Wrapped up yesterday, wrapped up on Saturday, my last day at my first ever job as an occupational therapist. I'm still with the same company, but I have moved buildings. And the building I'll be working for is actually a different company than I was working for, but it's kind of one of those things. You're working inside a building, but you're not actually an employee at that building. You're an employee through a different agency. So still working with the same company, still rocking with it. And but yeah, no, I start that new job tomorrow, and I feel like I talked about this the last couple of weeks because it feels like it's been a while coming, but hopefully no more super long commutes. Even if I was to take the bus to work, it'd take me 30 minutes to get there on the bus. So nothing crazy. Getting to work in the morning now, getting home. I'm excited about that. Gonna have more time. I was really pushing too, since we do CrossFit sometimes. They didn't have a 5 a.m. class. So I've been really up their butt about it, getting a 5 a.m. class, because that's always the busiest class. You go to any gym and the 5 o'clock class is the busiest class because everyone wants to get their workout in, go to work, get home, enjoy the rest of their life, So been busting their ass about getting a 5 a.m. class, and lo and behold, tomorrow they start their 5 a.m. class, so I'm excited about that. Probably going to hit that up as much as I can. But if you want to make a change in the world today, take a look in the mirror. I think that's how it goes. But 5 a.m. CrossFit class is coming. So shout out to CrossFit Woodstock for setting that up. And so we'll do that tomorrow. Then I'll head to my first day of work. First day of work at the new place is always interesting, I feel like I was just getting settled in at my last job. Made friends with everyone. Everyone's like, oh, all the good ones leave. Those kind of things like that. Which I can neither confirm nor deny that I am a good one. But I'll take their word for it. So, yeah, it's just, it'll be a little bit of a stressful week. But it's also exciting, too. It's going to be a different setting, My ears are going to be perked up a little bit. I'm on high alert because it's a new place, a new building, new people. A lot smaller team I'm going to be working with. So definitely got to be cordial this first week with them and build a good rapport with the other therapists there. So that way we can get it popping in there and treat some patients. But it's going to be different, The last place I was at was a lot of... It's your real skilled nursing homes. And if you don't know what a skilled nursing home is or a skilled nursing facility, I talk about it on my last podcast, what the difference between old folks' homes is. So, but yeah, my last job was a true sniff. skilled nursing facility, in that most of the patients were geriatric population, older. You got hips, shoulders, broken bones, falls, heart attacks, strokes, what else? Amputations. So it's very cut and dry for the most part. I mean, nothing's really cut and dry, but it's your traditional skilled setting where you see a lot of those, a lot of ortho, a lot of neuro. And it's not that that stuff is easy necessarily, but it's usually more straightforward than what I'm anticipating. I don't know. The job I'm going to now is in the city, so, it gets wild in the city, So when you're outside of the city, it's not as wild. But when you get in the city, the people get a little wild, especially here in Portland. And if you know anything about Portland, there's a lot of homeless people. So I'm anticipating a little bit different crowd at the new job as far as patient load, a lot of mental health, a lot of substance abuse, things like that, maybe some homelessness. And so it's going to be a little different population, but I'm excited. We all have our mental health problems, so I think I can fit right in and maybe hopefully do some good, change some people's life around, And either way, it'll be a good experience for me, even if I don't like it, even if I do like it. So I'm excited about that, but it's always nervous. Leaving somewhere where you're finally comfortable and then going somewhere that is kind of unknown. So start the new job tomorrow. So we're excited about that. What else has been going on? So this weekend, what would you do? This weekend was only a 1-day weekend. So today's my weekend. Sunday's my weekend. I'm back to work tomorrow for my first week of work. I'll be Monday through Friday this first week, and then back to my Tuesday through Saturday schedule. But this weekend was short and sweet. Yesterday, what we do yesterday? Got off work and the fights were on yesterday. The big UFC card was on, and I didn't get to watch the fights per se, but I did follow them closely. I got to watch a couple before because Brendan Schaub was in town, and we went and saw Brendan Schaub, and he is a comedian, and he is a podcaster, and he is a former UFC heavyweight. He is a former, not walk-on in the NFL, but he dipped his toe in the NFL and, played college football and all that stuff like that. So, either way, my favorite podcast of all time. The podcast site really got me interested into podcasting, which I listen to every week as a fighter and kid. And he hosts with Brian Callen. So it's Brian Callen and Brendan Schaub, fighter and the kid. They host a podcast twice a week on Monday and Wednesdays. And that really wasn't my first necessarily, but it was the first podcast that I listened to religiously. And every week I listen to, because it's a lot of laughs and a lot of silly geese and a lot of talking. I mean, it's two people with no filters who are comedians now, and they're just talking about whatever they want to talk about: boobs, butts, anything fun like that, or old stories in Hollywood or old fight stories and things like that. So a little bit of bro talk in there, but it's also a lot of fun for females as well, as Christy enjoys it. So if you get a chance to listen to the Fighter and the Kid podcast, just if you want a good laugh on your way to work, if you're bored of driving and listening to the news or whatever on your way to work, listen to the Fighter and the Kid, and it'll make you laugh, hopefully. But anyways, he was in town, Brendan Schaub. First time seeing him do comedy per se. We have seen him and Brian Callen live, Fighter and Kid live in Madison. We saw Brian Callen in Madison. We've seen a few other people here and there, but first time seeing him do comedy, and this was the second time at the Helium here in Portland. It's nice to live somewhere that has a nice comedy club. The Helium's a pretty, I don't know if it's not famous, but it's a pretty, they get a lot of good people going through those doors. So it's a good chance to see a lot of comedians go in and out. So yeah, he was at the Helium last night. So we went, it was during the fights though. But his crowd is kind of like that 18 to 32-year-old male who still has roommates, might be in a relationship, might not. But yeah, that kind of crowd that probably watches sports and, never graduated college in their mind, even though they did with their body, that kind of crowd. But it's a good crowd. It's a fun crowd. And there's some people watching the fights there. Like we were waiting in line. You could see people huddled up watching the fights. So I was able to follow the fights on Twitter. And yeah, it was a good card. I saw a bunch of the highlights and everything like that. Nate Diaz returned, came back, beat Anthony Pettis. And then Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa fought. I really didn't see much highlights from that, so I can't comment on that. But then DC, Daniel Cormier, and Stipe Miocic fought the heavyweight title, and Stipe got his revenge and got his belt back in the 4th round by TKO, which was a shocker, man. If there's one person that I don't think there's anybody I root harder for emotionally than Daniel Cormier. I don't necessarily root for him in a sense of like he thinks like he's like the nicest guy, the Carlton, the dad of the UFC. So, and he always seems to come in, even though he's a double champ and a world champion and probably one of the best fighters ever to fight. He seems to have a lot of heartbreaks, and you just got to root for the guy. He's a family man, and he's a good guy. So hopefully they make that trilogy fight between DC and Stipe, and we can watch that. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, solid night of fights. There's no fights this upcoming week, and there's college football though coming up. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, so we were at the comedy show, able to follow along the fights right before the show started. Found out DC got knocked out or TKO'd in the 4th round. So all the fights were over by the time showtime started. So and Christy hooked it up. She got the VIP tickets to the show. So the mic was where the camera is right now. So I could get out there and kick the mic. That's how close we were. And normally, I don't mind being that close, but I definitely didn't want to get roasted, And we were definitely the youngest people. There was like 5 tables, like right nuts to butts up to the stage, and we were one of the 5 tables, and we were the youngest people up there, which was cool. But we were sitting next to these. How do I describe them? Mike the Situation and Jersey Shore looking people, and they seemed like a nice couple, even though they didn't. But he was wearing a taxi cab hat. I don't know what they're called. Is it a fedora? I don't know. It's like the paperboy hat. I don't know if it's called a taxi cab hat. Anyways, and he was like all like lined up perfectly, like Guido-esque, like tan, like button-up t-shirt, everything cool like that. And then his like chick was like all tatted up and like Snooki and like Jay Wowed out. So, and he thought he had to give every comedian that went up like a high five every time they told a joke. So that was kind of annoying. And then there's always like a couple of people in the crowd that like don't ever shut up and they laugh at everything. Like if a comedian clears their throat, they'll start laughing. So that was kind of annoying, but the show was great. It was great. And yeah, if you've never been to a comedy show, which if you live in the Midwest, if you live, in a small town, you don't get out much, man, it's a lot of fun. We haven't been to many of them, but definitely it's a good time. You go there to laugh, so you're bound to have a good time. Um, and nothing is really off limits at a comedy show as far as what people say, which is a lot of fun too, because it's fun to see if someone does get offended, or something like that, which obviously you shouldn't. You know, you paid money there to laugh. If it offends you, then that's your problem. But that's the thing I like about comedy, and the thing I like about uh, podcasts and things like that is you can say whatever you want, and for the most part, in comedy at least, there seems to be not that big of repercussions, because it's all an act, it's all a joke, it's all a staged performance. So, I like when they talk about like racy stuff and like, edgy stuff. I like the edgy stuff. It makes you feel uncomfortable, because not a lot of people say that kind of stuff, and definitely think that things need to be talked about more. I don't think things should be off limits to talk about just because someone's sensitive to them. I think there's a way to talk about everything, and maybe comedy isn't the way to do it. Obviously, you don't want to be making fun of a situation or something like that. But I think comedy serves an important lesson in that there shouldn't be limits to what we can talk about as people, and I think if anything, comedians and people who do like comedy and get comedy, they tend to be a little bit more open to talking about things like that, and don't get offended as easy. But yeah, I think we should be able to talk about it. Whatever it is, whatever may be offensive or things like that. There's ways to talk about it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, kind of thing. And I think a lot of things just get swept under the rug, just like everything in our normal lives. We put this off, we put that off, we metaphorically we sweep it underneath the rug or the couch or the refrigerator, and we just kind of avoid talking about it. Well, comedy brings that stuff out. It's deep cleaning. It's deep cleaning your emotions and your thoughts, and you don't know how you feel when they say something about a dead baby, or about watching porn with their girlfriend or something like that. You don't know how you feel initially, but it gets you thinking. So I think anything that gets you thinking or kind of jolts your system a little bit, gets you out of your rut, I think that's good. And I think that's more people need that, even though they don't think they need that. I think it's good I think it's good for your will and your thoughts and everything to be tested a little bit. And I've noticed that going to comedy shows especially is a good place to think and to learn a little bit about yourself as well. See if I'm offended by that, or like, whoa, that was a little touchy, and things hit home with others that it won't with other people. For example, like, say you have, I don't know why I keep coming back to the dead baby jokes, but that one, no one said it last night, but there's one show we went to where this lady, all she talked about was dead baby jokes. And for some reason it sticks with me. Yeah, it could be difficult for people who have had traumatic experiences in their life with miscarriages and things like that. So that's probably not the best place to think about it and talk about it. But I guess for me in my life, it definitely made me think about other things as well. So I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I guess all I'm saying is it makes me think and evaluate myself, and I like that. So what makes me feel comfortable and what makes me feel uncomfortable. But yeah, the show was awesome. Got that new Brendan Schaub hitter, Portland owned Voodoo Donut t-shirt, inspired. So got a new t-shirt because I'm a merch man, and what is it saying? Oh, he had Chappelle Lacey and Derek Poston open for him, and They were very funny. Derek Poston, especially in my heart of hearts, stole the show. Man, he was so funny. He had a bit about uh, airplane waitresses, aka what are they called actually? Stewardess? No. Flight attendant. Is flight attendants? Yeah. But he called them airplane waitresses, and he had a funny bit about sitting next to the emergency exit doors and how, and we saw this from last time we were on the plane, how they have everyone make a verbal commit that they are gonna like help everyone else and stuff like that. So it was very funny. I'm not gonna say anything more about it, but it was hilarious, and that was probably the funniest thing I thought of all night. But yeah, the comedy show was good. Had lots of laughs. Had those. Christy hooked it up. Got the VIP tickets, so we met B. Schaub afterwards. Very nice guy. Shook his hand. Got a picture. Did all that cool stuff with him. All 30 seconds. Oh yeah, there was this guy. He proposed to his girlfriend after the show. It was like the VIP meet and greet. We're all like milling around waiting for him to come out or whatever. And then Schaub came out and was like, yo, where's Cassandra at? Is there a Cassandra? And like this dude came up and like we all sung happy birthday to his girl. And then he proposed to her, it was pretty cool. I don't know if that's where I would do it necessarily in front of a bunch of drunk strangers at a comedy club, but did see someone get proposed to, so that was kind of cool as well. Didn't have to pay extra for that, so anytime you get to see that, was cool. So good luck to them, and as Theo says, congrats on your nuptials. So yeah, we got the meet and greet, met him. Definitely looked exhausted from doing 2 shows a night for 3 nights in a row, but nice guy. And then the champ, El Champion, one of the faces of the UFC, was in the crowd as well. Mr. Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach bad boy. And he was in the crowd at the show, and it's kind of funny because we were waiting online, and on Twitter, or maybe it was that day or something like that, Brendan Schaub posted something about being in Portland, and Tito Ortiz tweeted him like, hey, I'm in Portland. And I was like, oh dude, that would be cool if he went to the show. I doubt he will, but that'd be cool. So yeah, the show got over. We were all milling around waiting for him to come out and do the VIP. And we were walking back, and saw this dude who's like bald, Mr. Clean looking dude. And I was like, damn, I think that's Tito Ortiz. And then like people started getting pictures and stuff like that. And it was Tito Ortiz. And if you don't know Tito Ortiz, he was kind of one of the faces of the UFC, the early UFC. He fought Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, all those people. Huntington Beach bad boy. He was like tan, and I'll put a picture up, but he was tan, had the gold hair with the flame trunks. So really one of the pioneers of MMA. I didn't go get a picture with him or like shake his hand or anything like that because I don't know. It's just weird. Like if you ever see, I mean, he's famous and all, but if you ever see someone famous, it's like super awkward to like go ask them to get a picture or like shake their hands or something like that, because I was thinking about this too. Like, one, he was just coming to the show like us. So while I'm sure he's grateful for the attention and stuff like that, I'm sure he gets it all the time. And what's one more person asking for a picture or something like that? The dude was just out trying to enjoy a comedy show. So part of my human instincts was like, man, he just wanted to come out, like that one scene in Men in Black where Will Smith is in the training center, and everyone's like pulling their guns out and like shooting aliens and stuff like that, and he like waits, and at the last second he shoots the little girl in the head, and they're all like cardboard cutouts. This is the first Men in Black, by the way. And then they're like, I forget his name, or Jay, or Agent Jay or something like that. They're like, why did you feel little Tina deserved to die? And he's like, and all these like cardboard cutouts of the aliens are everywhere, or oh, the other guy shot him. And he's like, well, this guy's just, working out at the gym. He ain't snarling, he's sneezing, and blah, blah, blah. Like, all these aliens are just, like, milling around. And then he's like, yo, this little girl's got quantum physics books. And, like, she's here late at night. That's pretty suspicious. So that was a funny scene. One of my favorite scenes. But, yeah, that's what I felt like with Tito Ortiz. He was just out there trying to enjoy his night. You could kind of tell he was kind of awkward. Like, he's like on his phone, like trying to avoid people seeing him, like asking for pictures. But like, people would get done seeing Brandon Shabs, and then walk right over to Tito and get a picture and stuff like that. But yeah, it was cool to see a champ. It seems like every time we go to the Helium, we see someone famous, because the last time we went, we saw Nikki Glazer glazed it up, and then in the crowd was Myers Leonard, who definitely does not hide in a crowd well, because he's 7 feet 1 inches tall, plays for the Portland Trailblazers, so he was in the crowd last time too, that we were at the Helium. So we're 2 for 2 both times we went. We've seen some people that are quote unquote famous, or Instagram influencers, whatever, Portland Trailblazers. So, yeah, that was cool. So, saw the champ there. Didn't get a picture. Yeah, because he was just out trying to enjoy his night. But then part of me was like, I hope other people that wanted their picture got their picture with him, because for him, getting a picture with me wouldn't change his life necessarily at all. But it could change my life, or it could change some other guy's life that, if, I was stuck in a bad spot, or, if meeting him changed my life, then I think I would have asked him. But does that make sense? Like, if he meets me, I don't think I change his life, but he could change my life in that, it would be such a great experience that I would remember it forever, or, it would mean so much more to me because I watched him when he was in the UFC, that kind of stuff, and it'd be a cool story. But, yeah, that would be my other thought, my counter argument to the guy's just having a good night. So, long story short, I didn't get a picture. I hope he enjoyed his night. It was a good night of comedy, a lot of fun, and can't wait for the next show we go to. So, what else? Yeah, so episode 20, we're knocking it out. What else? The fights were good. The comedy show was good. The job's coming up. Oh, this week I'm working Monday through Friday. So Saturday, college football starts, so I'm super crunk about that. I'm going to have the whole, I got Saturday, Sunday, Monday off this week due to changes in schedules. So I'm crunk. I'm Saturday. College football starts. I'm going to be sitting on the couch, drinking some more twisted teas, and watching college football. So I've been watching a little bit of the preseason, and the NFL doesn't mean anything. Doesn't get me up, but it's cool to have the sound of the crowd and the football in the stadium as a background sound. I just remember growing up every Sunday and Saturday, I just have ESPN on all day, and just the background noise. Even if I was outside or inside or something, all you'd hear is a football game on, and announcers and whistles and plays and stuff like that. And then, so that's a good memory for me. So just having the games on again reminds me of fall and my childhood and all the fun times I had with that. So definitely excited for football season to start. I don't know much about the college teams, but I'll definitely be tuning in, rooting for the Iowa teams and maybe the Oregon teams. I don't know. Apparently Oregon's supposed to be pretty good this year, so hopefully they are. That'd be cool. Maybe we'll get down there for a game later in the year. But yeah, college football starting, man. Excited for college football. couple things I was thinking about too was I was listening to Theo's podcast this past weekend, and they were talking about he had some guy who was from um I don't know where he's from, but he lived in Alaska like 6 months out of the year watching birds and stuff, and he made some interesting statements or some points just about humans and things that made me think about things. Um, One thing really related to me as far as living in Portland, because they were talking about living in LA and how there's so many people and how nature, blah blah blah. There's this good and bad. You're living with all these people, but it's bad because there's people everywhere. In nature, when he's isolated by himself, how it's different, those kind of things. And he said something in terms somewhere along the lines of that there's so many people, like say in the city, and I'm gonna extrapolate this to Portland. There's so many people in Portland that everyone doesn't want to be like everyone else. And when you have so many people, everyone's fighting to get noticed, whether they think so or not, or everyone's fighting to be different, to stand out. And there's no better example than that, and I'm sure there is, but in my eyes, than Portland, because, man, I've talked about this before, that the people here are, for the most part, awesome, sometimes sketchy, but there's so many people here, and it's not even I don't even know how big this city is, but that everyone tries to stick out in a good way, and I think that's important. When I was looking back at my hometown, my small towns, everyone, it's the exact opposite. I think everyone tries to fit in, in these smaller towns, especially in the Midwest. You don't get the cool, the funky, the eccentric, the creative ideas that you do in the big cities. Because in the big city, you can find your niche, you can find your people, you can find your area that you want to be in, you can find the food, the culture, the type of people you want to be around, and you can feel comfortable. In these small towns across America, it's almost a detriment, because I feel like a lot of them, it's just, I don't know, there's not as much creativity as there is here, and there's not as much and everyone that does try to be different and unique and stuff like that ends up leaving. And I'm not saying I'm one of those people or anything like that, but that quote, or that thought that he had about how many people there are and everyone's trying to stick out and be different, because no one wants to be the same. It's just weird to think about how that is in the big city versus how that is in a small city, especially rural Iowa, rural Oregon. I'm sure everyone kind of tries to, get in where they can fit in for the most part. So think about it, think about where you live, think about the kind of pulse of your city and the culture of your city. I don't know, it made me think about it. So it's very interesting to think. There's so many people that everyone doesn't want to be like everyone else. So I thought that was a great example of Portland, and a great example of kind of the small town culture in America as well. It's the complete opposite. So whether that's good or bad, there's positives to everything. Call me the devil's advocate, because I can take both sides all the time. So definitely positives to both. They also talked about he talked about a tiger being in a zoo. Like when you go to a zoo and you see a tiger in the zoo, the tiger has shelter. It has a consistent supply of food. It gets medicine. I'm sure you could argue, it gets taken care of. But when you see it there too, it's also just milling around, walking in circles, bored as heck, not really being fulfilled in life. And not just a tiger, it could be a monkey or anything like that. But you see it in the zoo and it's got everything it needs, but yet it's unhappy. And then you see a tiger out in the wild or any other animal out in the wild, and it's starving and it's scratching and it's clawing its way through life, and it's famished, it's hungry all the time. Its baby mama just ate one of the cubs because she was hungry, but yet it's happy because it's doing tiger shit, for lack of terms. And he equated that to humans as well, because we have everything we need. We have a house, we have computers, we have our phones, we have modern medicine, we have food. For the most part, a lot of us aren't going to bed hungry at night, but yet a lot of us are still not happy with our lives. And he talked about the power of being out in nature and doing those kind of things, and how he gets away. And when he gets away, he feels more alive for whatever reason when he's out there, just like other animals do. So it's interesting to think of. I know, definitely going out in the woods in Oregon compared to Iowa, there's a different feeling out there, and some people call it forest bathing. There's been books on that. But yeah, there's definitely a sense of being when you're going out, whether you like to or not. Most people don't like hiking, or I shouldn't say most people don't like hiking, but it is a chore. But at the same time, if you go out and sleep at night in the middle of nowhere in the forest at a campground or something like that, you do feel good. I crave going camping, even if it's one night, or it's an interesting something to think about. Think about that lion or tiger in the zoo that has everything but yet is unhappy, and then think about us. We have our house, we have debt, we have this and that, but we're taken care of, we're good. But a lot of us still, for whatever reason, are unhappy. And that could be whether it's relationship wise, or the way you grew up, or your dynamics in your family. Your mother didn't love you, your father didn't love you, things like that. But not saying nature is the answer, but could be. So I think it just comes down to doing something that you love. And I think everyone's different. Some people like painting, some people like sports, some people like hiking, some people like, what else people like? Doing podcasts, things like that. So just something to think about. Those last two little nuggets there. Think about it with yourself. Think about when you are going out, and you're, for lack of better terms, you're comfortable at home, but what makes you feel most alive, I should say, and what makes you feel most happy, and do it. I'm gonna leave you with this one because it's kind of funny. I think this is my attempt at humor. I'm gonna preface by saying it's 2019, going on 2020. Don't you hate it when someone gives you directions? And most people have really good intentions and really good, I don't know why this mic is so far up my nose, but sorry if you can't see my teeth or anything. But yeah, don't you hate it when people give you directions? Like, yeah, I got it. Or people tell you, yeah, you don't ask for directions, they give them to you. Say you're at the store and you go, yeah, we're thinking about going to this new place. And they're like, oh, it's just down the street. You're going to go about 5 miles, about 5 minutes, and take that exit. You'll see a McDonald's, you whip it around. It's about quarter mile down there. You'll see it on the left, but you got to take the right lane to get over and things like that. And the whole time you're sitting there just like, yo, I got a smartphone. Like, okay, just tell me what it's called because I can Google it and it'll take me where I need to go. So, yeah, that's part of. I think it's funny because I heard someone giving someone directions today, and I just wanted to be like, dude, everyone for the most part has a smartphone. Like, just tell them what it is, and you could even push Google for them and start up the MapQuest or the Google Maps for them and get them the directions. I don't know. When people give me directions, I'm like, I have a smartphone, I can put it in there. So I don't know why I thought of that, but this lady gave someone directions today, and I just wanted to be like, bro, you've got a smartphone. Just put it in. That's all you have to do is put it in your smartphone. It'll literally tell you where to go. It'll speak to you while you're driving the speed limit, and it'll tell you when to turn and where to park. So think about that next time you give someone directions, or don't, or just tell them, you've got a smartphone, you'll figure it out, So that was my attempt at humor. Other than that, that's all I got. So I will see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully this didn't freeze up on me. I can't tell. But yeah, episode 20, episode Benjamin Franklin is in the book. And I'll see you guys next week. Let you know how my first week of work went. And yeah, get excited for college football, man. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Thank you. Peace.